Good morning everybody and welcome to the next video of our virtual trade show. My name is Szymon Gomułka and together with
Daniel Oszczęda,
we will be talking today about the IO-Link interface. So in today's video we will be talking about the IO-Link interface. We have about 20 minutes. It's of course not enough to explain all information about this interface. But we decided that there are three words which are describing very well IO-Link interface. The first one is universal. Daniel, what does that mean that IO-Link is universal interface?
Yeah, the universal is a very key topic for the IO-Link because since IO-Link was introduced quite many years ago, because we introduced first devices 10 years ago, the idea was create to universal open interface. It means it's independent from any kind of manufacturer. It's open interface, so it doesn't matter what kind of PLC, what kind of network are you using. The IO-Link interface is compatible with that. So if you use, like we have in our example, the Siemens PLC, or if you use another PLC from Allen Bradley, from Mitsubishi or whatever different kind of PLC, you can use always the IO-Link. So the universal means on one side you can use this technology with different kind of PLC, different kind of manufacturers. Nowadays this is also quite widely used also with some PC-based communication, which we will talk a little bit later. But of course the universal, on other hand, means that IO-Link replaces a lot of different connecting technology. In the past, we had several different wiring methodologies, parallel wiring, RS-232 interface, analog interfaces. In many cases, currently, IO-Link replaces those technology, gives you the one common interface to connect different devices to the same module, to the same PLC using the same wiring technology, which we will talk later about when we talk about the easy. But as a small reminder, we are always using simple free-wire cabling to connect all kind of devices. As an example, let's take a look on RS-232 in the past RFID system. Now is the complete RFID system with IO-Link interface, so you can connect very easily to your master module any kind of device using one universal standard interface. And this is from one side. Universal, thanks to IO-Link, Szymon, is also great possibility to create some universal devices.
Yes, exactly. It's a huge trend of the actual innovative automation to create special units, special products with many functionality on board. And one example of it is this sensor is the BOS21 universal sensor. Is the optical sensor, but which type of the optical sensor? Anyone. Is the diffuse sensor, diffuse with background suppression, the retroreflective and true beam sensor, emitter and receiver in one housing. And what more about the functionality is the PNP, NPN, normal close, normal open, with some additional functionality like environment testing. We get the information how dirty is the window, how long this sensor is working, how long this sensor is working from last maintenance. And in this sensor we are using only 3 wires to get this information in our steering system. It's amazing. It's the one example. We have of course a lot more examples. At this moment I am thinking about the BCM sensor, is the Balluff condition monitoring sensor. If you will be following our social media, probably you will find another video about this sensor. And we are talking about idea where we have one unit, one housing, and 5, 6, 8 sensors on board with different functionality. For example, you will have, for example, you can measure the temperature, pressure, humidity, velocity, and many others. And of course, when we are talking about the universal of IO-Link, we cannot forget about the safety application, right, Daniel?
Yeah, exactly. This was the topic which I just would like to mention, which you can see on this our cube, which is next to the Szymon. We have a great example when you see connected different kind of technologies. On my side, you have connected typical classical IO-Link devices, classical automation like linear transducers, I/O modules, and so on. But on that side, we have our application where you see the safety hub, this hub with the yellow housing, when you can see you have the possibility to connect different kind of safety devices. What is important? universal in that case means that you use the standard safety PLC. Standard in that case means is the PLC have to be equipped with the safety function, but as a universal you connect traditional safety devices. So if you use any kind of standard light curtains, safety button, or safety switch to protect some housing, or magnetic fields sensors, and different kind of safety devices, all of them could be connected to such kind of module and collect safety signal and send directly to the safety PLC. So it's not necessary to have separate unit to control safety devices and separate unit to control the automation system. So this is one great advantage and this is why this solution is so universal. So you can combine different technologies, as I said before, and also different areas of application. In that case, traditional automation and also safety application in one PLC, in one way of cabling in principle. Because the idea is to make this simple. And the next step, what we're talking, is the smart.
Yeah, is the smart is the second keyword, which is describing IO-Link very well. And what does that mean? IO-Link using very simple wire connection. We have only one cable dedicated for the communication, and through this cable we are sending the special information in two directions, to the sensor and from the sensor to the PLC, for example. And using such communication, we can, for example, get the information about the condition of the sensor. There is a lot of possibilities. We can measure the last maintenance date. We can get the information about the expected lifetime of our units, for example. And another function is the parameterization, because thanks to the IO-Link we can parameterize our sensors in the real process. We cannot stop our machines, we can change each parameter, just that. When it is very important, when we can use this function everywhere and anytime when we have to adjust our machines because we change our production. For example, we got the new order from the customer because the actual trend of some customers were changed. We are observing such behaviors of the customers every day, I suppose, in every branch. In the past, with standard machines without the IO-Link communication, we have to send the guy from the maintenance, for example, to the each sensor, probably with the manual. And this person should be responsible for adjusting some parameters in the machines. Of course, is the situation when we are wasting a lot of time and we cannot discuss about the efficient process of our manufacturers. Today, thanks to the IO-Link, we can change everything, every parameters directly from the PLC. And today we are talking a lot about digital application where we are connecting, for example, IT systems with our hardware installations. If we have IO-Link, it's not a problem to get the information from the IT systems like SAP, for example, send it directly to the PLC and get the new information. Hey, let's reparametering all units in our production line.
When we are talking about today modern innovating automation, we are quite often talking about digitalization, IIoT, Industry 4.0 in different wording, but always we are talking how to change our production, some smart production, smart factories, how to make our production smarter, how to get much more information out of our production. So if we are thinking about such kind of solutions, the IO-Link is a great basement which you can use to get out a lot of information out of your factory, to collect information about current status of your sensors, not only information directly from the PLC. Thanks to IO-Link, you have access to the simple sensor on the end of your line. You can check the status of the sensor, collect all those data in your external database, make an analyze, make some visualization, like we showed in our previous video about the condition monitoring. And with our BCM sensor, you can create some dashboard, you can create analyze of your factory to have the possibility for future diagnostic and future development of your business, to really be able to work with the smart way of your factory. And This is possible because our masters communicate not only over the industrial network, but they supply you also digital information for IT world. We use JSON for that, so with JSON protocol you can get those data to any external database. So IO-Link is the great basement if you think about digitalization, IoT, and any kind of smart production, smart factory. And of course, as I said, this is also important that this is easy.
Yeah, it's easy. I would like to add only that, in my opinion, today we are delivering not the standard signals, but we are delivering data for the IT systems. And what about the easy? I remember times where I was a young guy and the computers were very easy in our country, in our world. There were a lot of different communication ports on each PC computer. We have the LPT, COM, PS2, and many, many others. Today we have only USB. Everything is simple. USB is simple. We are using it to connect any type of parallel of peripheral units. IO-Link is something like a USB for industrial automation. Why? When IO-Link was born, the persons responsible for creating this type of interface decided that IO-Link will use the simplest, the cheapest cable available on the world. Which one, Daniel?
Yeah. We are talking about 3-wire basing cable, which is widely used to connect simple sensors, binary sensors, and very often using this very common M12 connector to make the connection very easy and very fast. And if we are talking about this easy, the IO-Link could be is used very often to simplify also connection of simple binary sensor, because we are talking about the smart connection using the smart sensor. But still in our factory, in many cases, we have simple sensors. To make it possible, we have created a wide range of different kind of I/O hubs to connect digital signals from basic binary sensor or control some actuators on our machines. So it helps you simplify your machine. It is possible, thanks to that technology, make your machines more modular. What does it mean? So the connection, except in place of parallel wiring or in place of connecting to each module industrial network, you can use this very simple 3-wire cable to connect to the IO-Link master, which is the main point in each network which is using IO-Link technology. The one port in such kind of module, you can connect the next IO module. So in place of 2 signals, which was possible to connect only to this module, you can connect up to 16 signals to such kind of module. We have a wide range of such kind of modules. In this form, like this one, in metal housing is one example. If you have less space, limited space, or small sensor with M8 connectors, we have different solutions. With M8 connectors, with 8 ports, 4 ports or now we have also such kind of modules with 8 ports and double signals thanks to 4 pins M connectors. And the maximum amount of inputs is, I think, currently 16 M8 ports in one module. So this is our latest solutions which we can supply to you. And what is also important, if we are talking about the easy and in somehow connection with the smarts, is the diagnostic. Because if we are talking about this application, if we are talking about those modules, because almost all of our modules are supplied with IP67 protection class. So it means you mount these modules directly on the field. So what is important, on each module, you have clearly visible LEDs, which you can see on this module, like they show you the status of the communication. And what is important, it gives you diagnostic information. In any case, if you have some short circuit, for example, it is not interrupting your whole machine, whole PLC. It is only affected one port. You have clear diagnostic information on such kind of port with a red LED displaying here. So your maintenance guy don't spend a time to finding simple break caused by short circuit, which is quite common mistake which happens on the machines. And it really simplify and make maintenance time shorter, much simple. So availability of your machine is much higher. So this is why it's not only easy because of connection, it's easy only also for maintenance people to help them to make the machine running much longer and much better.
Yeah, I remember very well application when we reduced the time of the time which was need to found the shortcut from 4 minutes up to the 7 minutes thanks to the IO-Link, because the maintenance guy get the information, clear information here. Hey, here is the problem. And today, thanks to the digitalization possibilities, we can send and connect IO-Link, for example, with CMMS system and get the information about the shortcut and send it, for example, via SMS directly to the responsible person. So, as I thought at the beginning, the 20 minutes is not so much to tell everything about the IO-Link, so we were preparing the Q&A session. So now is your time to sending us the questions, and our technical support will giving you answers of them.
So thank you. Our technical expert is waiting for you for a question. Happy to answer, and of course, we are at your disposal if you have more questions even later.
Thank you so much.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome again on the third day of our webinars. So today's topic was IO-Link, and thank you very much to Simon and Daniel for the introduction as well. And thank you very much for joining us today. Okay, so as always, now it's the time when I'm gonna be answering questions. So feel free to ask me everything. I see there are several questions that already arrived. So maybe I will start with just answering the questions. So, okay, the first question was Richard's. Thank you, Richard, for the question. And he asked us, is there dedicated software to get into the master unit for commissioning and diagnostics? Well, Richard, our masters that are using the TCP/IP protocol, just like Profinet and the TCP/IP for Allen Bradley, they got software loaded into the internal memory of the masters, and they are available via the web servers. So just like you saw there on the small screens of the iPads on the station where Daniel and Simon were talking about, you are able to watch all parameters of the inputs and outputs of the masters, and as always of the internal diagnostics. Well, if it's about other questions, there's internal diagnostics module that is available via PLCs. You can get those information just asking the right addresses of the Profinet frame or your, for example, of the interface you are using now. So our masters got a whole amount of diagnostics, and every diagnostic module and diagnostic information is available on the manual. And if you got other questions, I invite you to ask us everything. Just ask a friend of us that is working at the region, and he will even answer your question or maybe contact you with us, the technical team. So I hope I answered the questions. And if you got some other things that should be clarified, just feel free to write us a comment, so I'll be able to answer your questions. So let's move on. Marek, thank you for your question. You asked us, what is the safety class of the IO-Link safety module? Well, about the IO-Link safety module, you can see about it on our website. You can see what classes of the safety categories and even the seal classes there are. So the seal safety class is 3, is the highest, and the safety class in the ISO norm it's about 4. So that's the highest class. You can connect actually everything to that has the class 4 to gain the fourth class of the safety class of your circuit. So thank you for your question. About Andrew questions. How many data does IO-Link support at once? Thank you, Andrew. About the IO-Link, at once you are able maximum to get from the cyclic data. Those are the process data that are refreshed with every cycle time of your PLC or even of your computer. You have to, the master provides those information, and at once you can gain maximum 32 bytes of information. But that's not all. You can ask the master, or the master ask on your order the sensor of other parameters, and those are the parameter data. You have to ask them, so those are asynchronous data, and they can provide you with up to 255 bytes of information. So that's the whole amount of parameter or data that are available via IO-Link. And now moving on to Carol's question, he asked us, what is the transmission speed of IO-Link? Well, the fastest transmission speed of IO-Link is described for 2 bytes of data transmission, and it is about 230 kilobytes per second. So that's a lot in my opinion. And it's necessary to mention that there are 2 now working the revisions of IO-Link. And this is the first version of IO-Link. Mainly, the second revision is faster, so you can gain information in about 30 milliseconds for some modules that you can find on our site. So feel free to just watch our website. So let's move on. Adam, you ask us, how can we configure each plug input on IO-Link board? I mean, how can we choose will be there a digital sensor or analog one? About the IO-Link master. IO-Link master that we provide to you, you can configure every port and every pin of the communication pin to what you want. So the second pin, it can be even configured into an output or an input of PNP and or NC. So we can switch in this. The third pin can be configured as well into IO-Link. But our module does not got, for now on, an analog input. You have to use an analog module that is connected to the IO-Link master. So you just configure them, just sending the parameter data to the module. So just connect to the place of the address and set there a value. The value is then interpreted by the module just to switch the port function. All the parameters are described in the manual of every module, so feel free to see, just to download the manual from our site, or even we can support you with some technical support of our colleagues. We can connect via TeamViewer, so feel free to contact us. Thank you very much for your question. František asks us, our SIL class, when we are Ivoni Safety Hub. May I ask you to specify your question, because I'm not sure about the SIL class you're asking for. I mentioned the SIL class is about free. The SIL class value is free, so it's the highest one. Okay, let's move on to other questions. Well, looks like I answered all your questions for now on. Feel free to update me with other questions. I'll be here for a minute and talking to you. Well, about IO-Link. Oh, Martin, you updated us with the question, safety question. If we have two area of protect but two different areas, can I use BNE or two, because if one input is active, will be the react of the BNI. If one of these inputs will be active of your safety sites, well, the BNI will connect to your PLC and send us information. The information you can just process in the way you want using the safety OBs. So if you write down a safety function, the master will process the data, and the communication will be working in the way you want. So just if you got some specified questions, just ask us. Thank you very much. Okay. Jacob, thank you very much for your question. If you collect 8 IO-Link devices into one IO-Link master, will be the traffic in the Profi network greater in comparison to the situation when you have only one device in the same single IO-Link master? Yes, of course. The Profinet frame the master sends to your PLC depends on the amount of information you want to retrieve. So if you configure your Profinet master, for example in TIA, you just attain slots where there will be some other modules, for example, IO-Link modules, safety modules, and depending on the configuration, the Profinet frame will change. It will expand or it won't. So if you got a lot of sensors, for example, sending 32 bytes information each, the frame will be, for example, 8 times the length of the process data. So you can surely imagine the Profinet frame will be greater. So I wish I would just fully explain everything for now on, but we got not the full amount of time. So just feel free to ask our colleagues, and we will just support you with the lot of information you want. So thank you very much, Jacob, and let's move on to other questions. Looks like for now on those are every question for now on. If you want ask us everything, just write down your question. I will be sitting here for 1 minute and waiting for a question, and just using this minute I would say about the IO-Link. About the IO-Link, it's the first thing I just after my studies I was able to do at Balluff. So yeah, it is a very great thing for me working with IO-Link products, and just to see how everything develops in the direction of the third generation of industry. So I really await of the way how to make it everything faster using the new 5G LTE communication, and see how the Internet of Things, industrial Internet of Things, will work together with IO-Link. I can provide you with information. We were working on the new BCM, Balluff Condition Monitoring Sensor, how to gain those information, how to send them to really robust databases, and how to connect to the database from every place of the earth just using cloud computing. So feel free to ask us everything, and I see there's no other question. Oh, Martin, you came up with the question. Okay, thank you. If I have two different areas to manage, I need two BNI. Well, it depends on the safety classes of those areas. If you got two separate classes, for example, one area needs only the second class and the other area needs the fourth class, you need two BNIs because the BNI class is just like the whole system class is just like the lowest class you are able to connect. If you got two separate areas, you can connect them into one BNI if you can use all the slots. It only depends on the algorithm you write down in the safety OB. So I'm not sure if I fully answered the question. If you need a clarification, just feel free to ask your colleagues from Balluff that are working at your region. They will surely answer your question and, for example, provide you with fully described templates. So I wish we can just answer every question. So thank you very much, Martin. Okay, Jacob, you came up with another question. Which communication protocol is faster, IO-Link or Profinet? For example, I use only digital sensor. Well, it is, to clarify, you cannot compare IO-Link to Profinet. IO-Link is an interface just like analog interface. It is for the communication of sensors. If you want it to compare to Profinet, you have to watch Profinet as an interface, industrial interface, just like communication between another computers. For IO-Link, IO-Link strictly can work with Profinet. So to connect IO-Link modules, even though you need IO-Link masters to you using your PLC. So to compare it with Profinet, surely Profinet is a Siemens rated industrial interface and it works great with Siemens. But to be honest, IO-Link is not as fast as Profinet, and the frame is not previously predefined by Siemens like Profinet it is. So if you want to compare it together, it's not the greatest way. So if you need some further information about us, feel free to contact us and we will just sit down with you and run the comparison with IO-Link. So I hope I answered the question, and if you need some clarification, feel free to ask us. Let's see. Okay, looks like now all the questions are answered, and I hope you enjoyed today's session. If you need some clarification about the IO-Link interface, the IO-Link comparison with other interfaces, or just the clarification why IO-Link is not why it's not a great comparison to compare IO-Link with industrial interfaces, feel free to ask us. Every branch of Balluff worldwide is now working because of the current situation remotely. We are available for you via phone and email, and the web shop is working 24 hours a week. So feel free to ask us and everything. I hope today was a great day and everyone learned something new, or maybe refined his knowledge. And see you tomorrow. Tomorrow's topic will be machine vision. So stay tuned and have a nice day.